So what is meditation now? As we transition out of that topic into meditation, what is the difference for you, if there is one, between reading that energy from cards versus like what is your practice look like? What's the most meditative place for Tara?
Oh, I love that question. Currently, my most meditative place is in the garden.
Right.
Me connecting with the earth, with the soil, with the plant medicine. As an herbalist, I'm constantly in conversation with the plants. And my recent move to this new residence includes huge gardens full of medicine. And so it's always been a place that I felt like I could detach from mental chatter and really drop into a more spiritual space. The frequency of the plants are a lot higher than ours, so their vibration really does speak to me in a way that feels like I'm in a trance, in a meditative state, just in their presence. And that is a part of my practice as an herbalist. When people call me and they say, "Hey, I've got this thing going on," usually there's a plant that will jump into my mind right away. Or I may cross paths with a plant that all of a sudden I'm like, "Why are you jumping out at me? Why are you, communicating so strongly with me at this moment?" I won't understand what their message is until the next day. And somebody will call and say, "Hey, I'm having this issue." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's that plant that was just talking to me." Right. So when I'm around nature, in nature, whether it's sitting under a tree, just yesterday I had my bare feet on the ground on a patch of yarrow, really just allowing my energy to connect to the earth frequency. That's a very meditative space for me. Um, I love doing breath work. I think that that's something that everyone should be aware of, is that, when some people hear the word meditation, they become intimidated and think they have to sit there cross-legged and and it's really just connecting to breath. It's
Mm-hmm.
really dropping into this present moment. And at this point in my life, on this part of my spiritual path, um, I've I've really tried to make every moment as mindful and meditative as possible. So even if I'm doing the dishes, I'm observing what I'm doing, the sensation of rubbing, the sponge on the dish, the looking at the soap, like being just so fully present and aware of your breath at the same time is a place that, I try to be as often as possible, like literally at every moment. Um, I have had moments, and I'm not in this right now, where my routine has included getting up, meditating for, 20, 30 minutes. Right now, my morning routine, especially with getting kids off to school and whatnot, is about 10 minutes where I sit and I observe what's around me. I observe the color of the sky. I do this outside, regardless of the weather, rain, snow, sun, usually right around dawn. What do I notice? What do I hear? And just really awakening all of my senses and coming to a few good breaths of gratitude and just breathing in and saying thank you for my life. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to be in service to whoever I may meet today. How can I show up in this world in right relation with all of nature and humanity, And so I have this prayer meditation that I do in the morning, but really I think all of life should be a meditation. I know you have quite a deeper practice going on with your Kundalini um, methods,
Well,
meditations,
I appreciate you
breath
putting it
work.
back on me. I mean, I've been doing my best to put out what I understand meditation to be in a educational format here on the channel, obviously. Because meditation, like, intellectually is one thing. To like
Mhm.
kind of dive into it, educational, of what a chakra is, the history of those, like kundalini as a baseline understanding, like the bottom of my spine, where I'm coming from to where I'm going. But
Mhm.
then that intercessor in our heart, the as above so it's below, that this law of balance, I guess. It's
Mhm.
like what's coming, what's going, where am I in that balance? Whether, is it shifting from side to side? Is it something I need to
Mhm.
receive from a higher power, God? And the cosmos, is, I understand them more for myself personally, but it's like you're talking about, like, why do we love meditating? Why does the garden feel so meditative? It's because, like, that's that grounding part.
Yeah.
We're electric beings that are like
Mm.
walking around in this Wi-Fi culture, and touching constantly our cars, driving with all this frequency coming over FM
Wearing
radio,
shoes with
subjecting
rubber soles.
ourselves to the commentary of the news channels and so on and so forth. So, like, the grounding, the meditation itself, as you stated, connecting to earth,
Hmm.
the silence, the that lack of anxiety that'll exist no matter what, when you're playing in the water and rolling in the grass, and putting hands under the soil. It's been a lot of years since me. 2013, I moved into a house for the first time after many, many years. And the one thing I did, I got a rototiller, and I had this acre of land, and I just plotted out, this is where a garden would work. I knew the sun would come up this way, and, like, okay, this is going to work. My hose would reach. And it was the best year of my life. And you're
Yeah.
right, like, because it set in store, like, the future for me 7, 8 years ago now.
Mm.
I literally survived a whole summer without going to the grocery store for anything but the meats, because I was able to harvest my own spinach. I was making cucumber salsas. I had such an abundance off of like 6 tomato plants, because, like, I used the right energies, like
That's a lot.
putting the potassium. There's eggshells and bananas, and, like, just educating myself
Hmm.
on what building a garden, not for
Hmm.
the pretty flowers and nothing else, but I'd use the flowers structurally in the garden to attract the bees. And there
Yeah.
was just
Pollinator buddies.
so much to know. But
Mm.
when I finally moved out of from the mindscape into actual doing, you're right, that became like one of my very first meditation practices, and it set the baseline for my what became the Kundalini awakening, where I started to
Hmm.
have these subtle shifts in my spine over the course of years. But I found slowly but surely, like, over the course of my life, as I committed to a specific type of regiment in my life, that it started with the garden. That next year I became a lot more expressive. I started my first YouTube channel, did kiwi walks, in, like, walking about and becoming more creative in my indulgence with music and writing and singing. And I write songs a lot in the 2016 year. And then I finally moved into this space, and slowly I moved through that power center in my stomach. I finally had this breakdown when my heart exploded, you
Hmm.
know. And then
Totally.
finally recently, this last year in July 4th, I had my throat chakra finally open, and it's just been the finally I don't want to say, like, I couldn't do these things before, but now I feel free to do them using my voice, and
Hmm.
having the alignment of those chakras is how I understand it. Now, meditation is a lot of different variables. There's a lot to understand.
Hmm.
There's a 7-year cycle. There's
Yeah.
the earth elements. Starting with earth to water, into fire, and finally air. And then in our throat, that becomes ether, light, and so on and so forth. So, like, these elements, how they represent. Then there's all kinds of different stones. This labradorite, maybe match with
Yeah.
that magician
That.
energy, earth energy.
Heck yeah.
Just, there's so much to uncover meditatively, but it's not today about understanding it all, but more about practicing it with intention for me on a daily
Hmm.
basis, so that
Right.
I'm, like you say, the pranayama. That, why does herbalist matter? Why does, like, live plants matter? Not eating raw meat all the time. You know, we're getting real prana from eating vegetables and bright colors and fruits, and we
Absolutely.
need that in our diet, and we need to utilize this as a supplement to our body.
Absolutely.
So, as an herbalist, like, connected to earth, I appreciate that message about meditation, and that it's not just this posturing for meditation, but the actual utility of our breath to just
Hmm.
even right now, like, I feel myself sharing so much, and, like, I get built up, and then I need to just,
Yeah.
as a
I,
mutable energy, I don't feel comfortable here, like, all filled up. I need to go and just, like,
yeah.
fall into it, and then
Yeah.
I'm free. That's that breath work.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you talked about going, I love what you said about like we're running through this Wi-Fi world and we're touching all these things and we're connecting this way and da da da. Da. And it really is that simple that we take time to ground with the earth. You hit the nail right on the head when you said we are electrical beings. Our body is this electrical circuit, our nervous system, and we are so detached from grounding. Just like the electricity in your house or a generator needs a grounding rod, that energy's got to go somewhere. And if you're running around with rubber soled shoes all day, you're not touching the earth at all. Then you get on your bed that's on a platform above the ground. Like, when are people making time to really touch? Like, I know people say, oh, it's crazy, hippie tree huggers. Like, I literally hug trees. Like, I literally go and hug trees and breathe and thank them for the synergistic relationship we have of them providing us with oxygen and being our nurturers. All of the plants are our guides, our ancestors, our teachers. They were here long before us and they have evolved to such a high frequency. you know Plants are double if not triple the vibrational frequency of humans.
Mhm.
They have evolved to this place of such trust and such abundance that they have always provided for us. They are our food, our shelter, everything, right? Excuse me. And so we really do need to make time to listen and learn and connect, and especially our food.
Mhm.
Especially our food. We're so disconnected, with packaged and processed foods. Like, if you're not putting real food in your body, your electric circuit is going to malfunction. That's where illness comes from. That's where, mental illness too. Like, just how different would it be if people really took the time to ground and meditate, on Mama Earth? Like, she is who holds us and heals us. And so
Exactly.
it's crucial. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, all in all, I really appreciate your working knowledge, and not just because it matches a lot of my own, but because like we have, you know, a little bit of a balance of working knowledge, and I always
Hmm.
appreciate people that can expand on my curiosities, not just because I'm the Sagittarian, but I think like that's important for all of us to just
Oh, yeah.
lean in not just on the book knowledge, but like do things as groups and create groups of our own. I got a WhatsApp group ABC where I can share some, books as they come
I love
along.
it.
I'm trying to start here the seven chakra tiers for this
On
meditation group
Facebook.
on Facebook. I'll
Yeah.
send you the link to that.
Yes, please.
So that in the future I can get to a place where we do have enough people to draw in and have a community of meditators, and bring a common philosophy, for the broader whole, right? Moving toward the
And
tendency of that Aquarian age.
exactly. It brings us right back around to the age of Aquarius. This is the time to be uniting and forming our community, our circles. It's important. I think of the prophecies too throughout history that talk about uniting the nations, about this being the time where everybody from east to west is going to unify in their intentions, right? And if we have the pure intentions, we may not know what it looks like or how we're going to do it, but I feel that energy so strongly right now. Even last year in my meditations of 2023, it came up consistently that 2024 would be the year of collaboration.
Yeah.
And at that time, I wasn't even thinking Age of Aquarius. I know I'm a humanitarian. I'm always like, oh, we all have to get together. Let's all work together. I want everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
But I kept hearing that word, and I usually have a word or some sort of saying each year, right? And this year, absolutely, 2024 is all about collaborations, working together, taking the time to have these kinds of conversations. Even, I think a lot of really big conversations, hard conversations, uncomfortable conversations, like that's going to be happening in 2024 and probably for the next 5 years in some really big ways. And I'm here for it. I'm excited by it. I think it's time. It's important. I don't think people should be afraid or resistant. I think that it's absolutely necessary that this age of Aquarius is changing everything. All of the structures and systems in place are going to have to be revamped. So why not show up and put the good intention, the good vibes in there of how we can do this together and make it more harmonious and prosperous for everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Tara, you're such a blessing. not just to
So
me,
are
but to
you.
everybody. And of course, I just want to, plug myself real quick. This is Knox Studios. What Knox is, it's, my philosophy came from those early years when I was just doing the garden and I really started exploring, what my issues were, like my shortcomings. And
Mhm.
so Knox really does stand for never again hate anything. And I also tease like the never again having anything in the utility of like whatever is mine is not for me to hold on to. It's like that becomes a burden in and of itself. Like it's about giving that stuff away. So to
Mhm.
hate or have, right? We need to learn to love and give. So,
Right. Oh,
you know,
I love that.
in
Love and
here,
service.
the philosophy of this channel and hope, is always just to build up in all different practices and concepts so that those that are interested in some faculty of the topics we discuss can maybe expand their knowledge, but not just for the sakes of that knowledge, like to actually
Mhm.
bring it into the utility. Lean in. Don't go buying tarot decks, but like go steal one, like Tara said, and learn from my mistakes. But take some of the lessons that we're discussing here in these long form conversations, hopefully going forward. And of course, I want you to come back, Tara.
Thank
Um,
you. I would be honored. This has been so fun, Joshua. Thank you so much for
so
making the time tonight. I know we've
absolutely,
been talking about doing this, and look at that.
I know.
Collaborations. We're doing it.
I'll fly by the seat of my pants all day long, any day. So,
I
you know.
love that about us. The spontaneity is there. That's a good reason for us to keep doing this because we're both comfortable with that, right?
Absolutely.